Hello, everyone. We're back with Ken Dombrowski, executive life coach and master hypnotist. And we're back with another topic that we like to discuss a lot, which is smoking. And I think we need to dive deeper into the idea of smoking being a habit, just a bad habit, versus a negative coping mechanism, and what that really entails.
Well, that's always the big question when someone needs to quit smoking. And of course, you can actually extrapolate this towards, pretty much any habits or behavioral outcome that you have that you don't like. I say all the time, no one ever comes to us saying, hey, oh my gosh, I'm eating way too much spinach and broccoli. I really need your help. It's always unwanted behaviors, right? So smoking would be an unwanted behavior, maybe drinking too much alcohol or binge eating sugar or even feeling sad, depressed, lonely. Those are all those can all be habits too. But today we'll just talk quickly about smoking as a habit. So that's a really unique one because it fits this perfect niche. See, smoking is this taboo subject which most people want to do something that they're not supposed to. It's like you're getting away with something. You're being a little rebel in your own way, right? So smoking helps with that. Smoking also is something that you can do while you're working most places or driving. But I say all the time, you can't drink and drive, right? You can't. Most people don't drink and work. I guess if you're a bartender, maybe you drink and work. But what we look at is the habit of what you're doing versus is it a emotional support system, or is it stress management? So then you have to start looking at your life. If this person has a lot of dramas and traumas in their life, whether they be recent or even long term, chances are that smoking is an emotional support system. Chances are it's a stress management system for them. And so then it becomes a habit of alleviating my stress and comforting my emotions of smoking, a pack of cigarettes a day. That's my habit to help eliminate those. Of course, they're still there. They don't go away, but it helps in the moment. So you gotta remember with a cigarette, every time you take a puff, you get like a 2 to 3 second burst of tiny burst of endorphins and dopamines and oxytocins, all kinds of feel-good chemicals in the brain. And so that's why you keep, one of many reasons why you keep doing it. So if you're having a stressed out life or an emotionally distraught life, well, that cigarette, each puff is going to give you a tiny break in that moment, right? So that becomes a habit to turn to that for the stress relief. But it does not qualify as a habit only. It's still a habit that was created out of necessity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like being the one that takes the discovery calls and is kind of determining if this is truly just a bad habit or extends to a negative coping mechanism is, like he said, there are traumas and different things that have been involved. And also just in general, the fact that people all the time are like, I just like the action. The action is what it is. And so they get kind of caught up on things like that they think make it a habit, but that doesn't stop it there. Like, okay, and I have to explain, okay, well, you might think it's just the action, but there's so many subconscious mechanisms happening back there that are really driving you needing that action. It's not just this. As much as you think it is, putting something in your hand, if it's a negative coping mechanism, isn't going to stop it. People who do it as a bad habit might be able to change the habit by, chewing gum or hitting, like, I've seen people do like sucking on blow pops or ring pops gets rid of it because they just need the motion. That's not going to apply to most people.
Right. Not going to apply to most people. It's very interesting. Lauren does an amazing job with those discovery calls that you might have heard her mention a couple of times. Is that she's the first contact that you're going to have when you call our office, and she's going to talk to you for 20, 30 minutes in that call, which is because she wants to be able to help assess the individual as to who they are and what they've got going on and what's best for them. Because the last thing we want to do is want to put someone in the wrong program. Mm-hmm. But still, as she's saying, people are going to still insist it's just a habit. I don't want all that other stuff. It's just a habit. Just put me in the single session. And, we can only go with what someone wants. If they're not telling us about traumas and dramas in their life, they're not telling us about stress, and they just keep insisting that everything's fine, and they just want the single session. So she'll go ahead and book them for that single session, which is about 2 hour long session that we have single session smoking cessation. It's fun to say. And it's amazing how many times, I'm not going to say even half, maybe 30%, 40% of the time, during that session, someone's sitting in my chair, they start crying.
Mm-hmm.
And we discover that there's a lot more behind the surface, a lot more down there, and it comes to the surface now, and we have to deal with that. And that's a very clear, evident way of looking at that you're in the wrong program.
Right.
So we then take them from that single session and convert them into maybe an 8-session package or whatever they might need to work through those issues, so then that way they'd be in the position to quit smoking.
Right. Everyone wants to be in the easy, quick fix. It's just a habit category. And it's very common for people to think that because we are talking about a subconscious mechanism. This isn't something people are consciously thinking about or can consciously comprehend just walking around day to day. We're talking about you possibly having an accident that seemed insignificant consciously when you were 8 years old that's causing you to smoke for 30 years, and you're still doing it when you're 50. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be directly attached to cigarettes. It doesn't have to be anything like that. This is just a coping mechanism for whatever it is. It doesn't have a specific set of anything. And that's why it's so hard to figure out where someone really belongs, because I can only work off of what they're telling me. And unfortunately, I just can't trust people's opinions all the time because they want to fit in a certain category, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's you can only go with what they're telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you talk to a psychotherapist, which we're certainly not a psychotherapist, they can only work with what that client brings in, what they're willing to talk about and share. And the rest of it, we just work with it as best as we can, and the rest of it will usually come out at some point.
Fortunately, we, have a nice set of questions that we can ask to kind of determine what's going on and kind of explain it to somebody, because the nice thing is people are extremely receptive once it's explained, but it takes that time. I need to understand a little bit about who you are and explain to you why we're looking at something longer, because we understand it's not only a time commitment, it's a bigger money commitment. It's something that you have to choose to show up for instead of just showing up once. And we get that there's a lot involved in that. And I love explaining to people why that's necessary. That's not a problem. We love to put people in the right program. We are fine converting a smoking cessation into a free consult, basically, or, a consultation that goes a little longer. But in general, we really want to place you in the right place to begin with, so you're not shocked. It's not, devastating. We just give you all of the cards up front.
Again, always perfectly said, Lauren. You did a great job.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
So I think that's all I have for that subject. What about you?
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, if you have more questions on bad habits versus negative coping mechanisms, not even in relation to just smoking, feel free to call us. Those discovery calls do a lot for people. And if I can't answer it, I'll hand you over to him.
Sounds good.